Donald Trump just blew up during a disastrous press conference in the Oval Office when he was pressed by members of the media about his relationships with Jeffrey Epstein and the fact that he appeared 38,000 times in the partial release of the Epstein documents from Friday. Only 3 million documents were produced. There's at least 3 million documents that are still being concealed by Trump's DOJ. So when Trump was asked about his connections with Epstein and his appearance all over the files by Caitlin Collins of CNN, Donald Trump just lost it at her and he started saying, you know, my problem with you is that you're a young woman and you don't smile. You need to smile more, young woman. It was gross. He had a meltdown. Just watch what took place. Let's play this clip.
Time for the country to get onto something else. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
What would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. You know, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. Okay, go ahead.
Sexual abuse and health care.
And then more questions were asked of Donald Trump about his dark past and the fact that he appears 38,000 times in the Epstein files and 5,000 different documents he appears. Donald Trump says, you know, the real issue here, this is just a Democrat problem, and I've been vindicated. No, you haven't. There are some of the most grotesque allegations imaginable in these files about you and about people in your regime. Here, play this clip.
Got to get back to running the country, too. Millions and millions every week. You know, when Epstein was alive, nobody cared about him. When he's dead, they care about him. But it's really a Democrat problem. It's not a Republican, it's a Democrat problem. The only problem Republicans have is that we have to get back to, number one, running our country, and then number two, very importantly, letting the public know what a great job we're doing.
Then Caitlin Collins, who was on fire during this Oval Office presser, she did a great job. She said, well, what do you say to the survivors, the victims, whose images, whose names, whose personal identifying information was put out there by your regime in the incompetent and malicious way you've all handled the Epstein file production while you're still withholding documents? And Donald Trump seems to attack the survivors publicly. Here's what he's doing. Here, play this clip.
I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. You know, I heard that, and you tell me something else. No.
And then Caitlin Collins doesn't stop there. She says, well, what about the fact that lots of people very close to you have their names all over this thing? Have you seen it? Have you read about it? Elon Musk, Howard Lutnick, and others. And Donald Trump says, nah, no one's even talking about that. So it can't be a big deal. It would be in major headlines. It is major headlines. Right now, world leaders across the world are being toppled by their connections. And you're at the heart of the cabal, Donald. Here, play this clip right here.
What do you want?
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing, you know, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who were...
Donald Trump is asked about the fact that the prior Lord Mendelsohn, former United Kingdom ambassador to the United States, he's had to give up his titles, his affiliations, everything, because his connections with Epstein were less than Donald's. But they feel shame in the UK. There's something called shame, and they feel it, rightfully so, for engaging in despicable acts. But Donald Trump's like, whatever, it's too bad, too bad. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President, a few months ago you had in your office here Peter Mandelson, the British ambassador. You were shaking hands with him over a trade deal. He's today been forced to resign from the House of Lords, the upper house of the British Parliament, over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Just wondered if you had any reaction to that, since obviously he was...
I didn't know about it, but I really don't know too much about it. I know who he is. It's too bad.
And then Donald Trump was asked about someone else who appears in the Epstein files over and over again, in connection with Donald Trump's first administration as well, Vladimir Putin. So yesterday during a press conference, Donald Trump said that he spoke with Putin, and because it was so cold in Ukraine, Putin promised Donald, according to Donald Trump yesterday, that there would be no more attacks in the foreseeable future on Ukraine. They would stop the Shahed drones from Iran. They would stop the ballistic missiles and cruise missiles being shot at residential complexes and energy infrastructure and government buildings and on bus stops and at people in Ukraine and Kyiv and Kharkiv and across the various oblasts. And Donald Trump said, no. Putin's a man of his word, Donald Trump said. He said he would do it for a week. So the week ended on Sunday. So when I told you on Monday, I had meant that it was actually done, and Putin kept his word. What are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
On Ukraine, Mr. President, yesterday you were talking about how Vladimir Putin had agreed to a pause during the cold weather. Overnight, those attacks have started up again. Apparently, the worst.
It was Sunday to Sunday, and it opened up, and he hit him hard last night. No, he agreed. He kept his word on that. It's a lot. 1 week is, we'll take anything because it's really, really cold over there. But it was on Sunday, and he went from Sunday to Sunday.
You just wanted he didn't go further or go longer?
I would like him to, I want him to end the war.
And then Donald Trump, you want me to, before I go to that, you want me just to show you what he said yesterday so you can contract? Okay, I just showed you the statement he made today in the Oval Office. Okay, 24 hours ago, this is what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office, just so you can see he's just the biggest liar about everything. Here, play this clip.
There's tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin. Tremendous hatred. I mean, it's a shame, but it's taken longer than we thought. I did call up President Putin, and he's agreed. He's put it out too. They have the same cold wave that we do. Maybe different because it's pretty far away, but it's the equivalent. And Ukraine's a very cold country. It's much colder than us. It's colder than, they say, on average, it's Canada or colder. And on top of that, they have a tremendous cold wave. And I asked him if he wouldn't shoot for a period of 1 week, no missiles going into Kiev or any other towns, and he's agreed to do it. So it's something.
This episode of the Midas Touch podcast is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas, and everything bakes in 25 minutes or less. It feels like having a real bakery on standby whenever you want it. What I love about Wild Grain is that unlike a lot of the store-bought bread, they use simple ingredients you could actually pronounce, plus a slow fermentation process that can be easier on your belly and richer in nutrients and antioxidants. No preservatives, no shortcuts. I've tried a bunch of their items, but the sourdough breads are absolutely my favorite. Warm, crusty, and perfect straight out of the oven. It's become my go-to for easy dinners, cozy weekend brunches, or just warming things up on a cold day. I've also been loving the giant chocolate chunk cookies. And the convenience is huge. It shows up at your door, lives in your freezer, and you're eating in under 25 minutes. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable too. They have a variety box, a gluten-free box, a vegan box, and even a new protein box. So there's really something for everyone. There's nothing like having an artisan bakery in your freezer to chase away the winter chill. Now is the best time to stay in and enjoy comforting homemade meals with Wild Grain. I highly recommend giving Wild Grain a try. Right now, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box, plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/Midas to start your subscription today. That's $30 off your first box and free croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/Midas, MEIDAS, or use that promo code Midas at checkout.
So then Caitlin Collins again. Superstar. She's been asking great questions. There are times where I don't like Caitlin Collins interviews. This is really good stuff. I got to give credit where it's due. And so here Caitlin Collins asked Donald, what did you mean when you said that you wanted to nationalize elections? And Donald Trump's like, well, when you think about it, states are just agents of the federal government anyway. Okay, so you don't believe in the First Amendment, clear. You don't believe in the Second Amendment because you all said that if someone has a concealed carry license, they deserve to be killed. You don't believe in the Fourth Amendment because you don't believe in judicial warrants. So you therefore don't believe in protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. And you hate states' rights, the 10th Amendment, right? The whole thing is states' rights, states' rights. That's what they told us all along. This is about states' rights. Well, now you're saying, actually, states don't really even exist. They're just agents of the federal government. Okay, you don't understand. You don't understand the way federalism works, but you do understand how you behave like a wannabe authoritarian. Here, play this clip.
What exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, you know, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, I think the federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta, look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
Then Donald Trump goes on to lie about Detroit, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia. Play this clip.
Federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta, look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
The Constitution says it should be states that administer elections, Mr. President.
Yeah,
That's what the Constitution
you know what?
says.
He then says Melania Trump is a movie star.